If you're looking at jumping into real estate in the next couple of months here, you doubtlessly want to know what's going on in the MatSu Valley as far as real estate goes. And the reason for that is because the most homes that are available in any market in the entire state right now is the MatSu Valley. And we're going to be talking about why that is later on here today. Before we get started, though, do make sure you give this video a like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And without further ado, let's go and jump into the residential market update for what's going on in the MatSu Valley, looking at single-family homes, condos, and the multifamily market. The first thing that we want to look at is what's going on as far as the active inventory for single-family homes. Well, what we're seeing here is we're actually seeing a very slight increase for the active inventory compared to what we had this time last year. This time last year, we had about 280 properties available on the market, and now it's about 290. So that's good news. And if we go a little further back, though, to about 2020, 2019, we see that usually we'd see about 500 to about 650 or so properties available on the market. So we're still seeing an increase, but historically we're still at a huge deficit of what we usually have as far as active inventory goes. The next thing I want to see is the number of properties that have actually gone under contract, or the number of properties, that have sold during the month that we have the most current up-to-date information, which is going to be February. So this time last year, we saw about 86 properties actually sell, and this year it's 93. So seeing kind of a slight uptick for what we usually see, at least compared to the year before. Now, last but not least, what we see is the average sold price for what we're seeing for single-family homes. So what we see is the average sold price went from about $372,000 this time last year, and now we're seeing that there is about a $400,000 average sold price, which is kind of about what we would expect. As we see kind of the smaller inventory, but there's still a pretty high demand. You do expect to start seeing the average sold price continue to go up and up and up. I would be remiss, though, if we did not point out that the previous month there was a decrease from about $381,000 the year before to about $354,000 this year. So we are in fact seeing a kind of a fluctuation month to month, and that's what we'd expect month to month. And we'll keep an eye on it as we go a little bit further along in the year and get a little bit more data. But there is a little bit of fluctuation right now, and has more to do with the specific homes that are probably selling than anything else. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is what's going on as far as the condo market. And condos have historically not been a very big part of the entire real estate makeup for the MatSu Valley, because people just don't usually move to the MatSu Valley to live in condos. But it is something we're going to look at because that is kind of a demographic that is still looking out here. So we see that this time last year, there were 5 condos available, and this year there are 6. So very slight increase from the year before. The next thing we see is that the number of condos that have actually sold was 1 this time last year in February to 2 for this month, this year in February. Now, last but not least, we see the average sold price went from about $320 this time this year to about $260 this year. And again, this can kind of just be seasonally, some seasonal stuff here. And also, we are in fact seeing just month to month things fluctuating. The previous month, the average sold price for the year before in January was $240, and now it's for the month of January, just a little bit ago, it was about $300,000. So we kind of see, these big fluctuations that kind of go back and forth. And when we have such a small inventory, we expect to see such dramatic fluctuations either direction. So not a huge surprise there. I suspect if you had a condo and sold it this year versus last year, you would probably make a little bit more this year than the previous year. But they're condos, and we don't expect to see real aggressive appreciation one way or the other. Let's go and take a quick break here real quick. For those who've been watching for a little bit, you do know that we've had a little bit of a lull here. And as far as the content that's been getting produced for the past couple of weeks, and the reason for that is I've been moving into the Alpenglow studio that you see around me here, and I am really looking forward to using this space. So kind of just letting you guys know that's what's been going on, and we're excited for the next phase of content creation and being able to provide more and more value for you as far as the content from this channel goes. So looking forward to that, and let's finish up today's market update. Now, looking at the multifamily market, we see that this time last year, It was about the same compared to this year because we see that there was 30 on the market this time last year. Now there's 29. So not a whole lot of difference there. Usually prior to COVID, we'd see upwards of about 50. So, historically still kind of a dip, but not a huge swing compared to the past couple of years though. Now, looking at the number of multifamily properties that have actually sold, we see that this time last year we had about 5 properties that actually sold, and this year it's 10. So there is seems to be kind of a higher demand for multifamily this year than there was in the previous year, at least for that month. It's kind of hard to extrapolate a whole lot of actual entire year picture stuff out of month-to-month metrics, but there we go. Now, last but not least, we see that the average sold price went from about $612,000 this time last year to about $581,000. So it looks like there's a bit of a dip there. But again, with multifamily properties, it's so hard to get kind of an accurate assessment for the average sold price just because there are so many more variables than you get with single family. The biggest one being that multifamily includes everything from the duplex all the way up to big commercial properties that might be sold on the MLS. So you can see that there's just a lot of more variability that we see there. I would expect to see maybe a modest increase of a couple percentage points for multifamily properties in the MatSu Valley just because we are seeing increased rents because this is still kind of a time of inflation. And with that being said, though, we do have higher interest rates than what we had a couple of years ago, and that's going to really put a damper on the value of these multifamily properties because it's based solely on how the numbers operate and how the property performs. All right, so let's actually break this down a little bit into the summary. So what does this all mean for you? Well, if you're a buyer, it means there's more options available in the MatSu Valley than what you're going to find in other markets in the area. And for the most part, unless you're looking for something brand spanking new, you're actually going to be able to find something that's a lot more affordable in the MatSu Valley than in other places like Anchorage or Eagle River, which is all good news. And you're going to get something that's newer, you're going to get something that's larger, and you're also going to get something that's usually on more land. Downside, though, is that you are going to be usually competing with more people because the MatSu Valley is continuing to be a place where a lot of people want to live, and a lot of people are migrating from Anchorage to live in the MatSu Valley. And so that's just something you kind of expect going into it. If you're a seller, this is still a pretty strong seller's market. You just have to go into it knowing this isn't the same market that you had a couple of years ago. So if you saw your neighbor that hardly did anything and got 20 or so offers on their property, that's probably not going to be your experience, and you're going to have to actually do some work with staging it, and we'll do some marketing for you and make sure that we're all on point as far as that goes. And you're also going to have to price it accurately. Beforehand, people could kind of just throw any old price they wanted on it, and for the most part, the market would adjust to it quickly and move on from there. That's really not where we're at anymore. If a property is not priced accurately, buyers can instantly tell that, and they're probably just going to avoid it altogether. So this has been your market update looking at what's going on in the MatSu Valley. I sure hope it's been useful. Thank you for bearing with me. And if you have any questions, reach out to me on my website, and I'd be happy to help as best I can.